There we go. Oh, that was loud. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this workshop, Turn Your Instagram Content into a Substack Publication with me, Claire Venus. If we've not met before, I am an engagement consultant and mentor with 20 years experience in the arts and cultural sector. I've been writing on Substack for 2 years and teaching all about Substack and how to use it for a year now. So some of you I know are in my Substack community, Sparkle on Substack, which is a Substack education space. So there's a membership and there are lots of free resources there as well. So if you're not yet there, then that's the place to be on Substack. But I'm so excited to meet all of you guys. I thought it'd be really nice if you wanted to put in the chat your Instagram handle. If you do the URL, then people can obviously open them in the background. And if you do have a Substack publication and you've got some bits and bobs on there, feel free to put that in and you can all network together. I'm also going to open a little chat space for you all as well on Substack, so you can chat to each other after class. But if you want to do that in the chat, that would be so lovely. And then we can see who's here. If everyone can stay on mute, it'll just be great for the recording, just for the people that are overseas and are grabbing the recording. That would be so nice. Videos on or off, I really don't mind. It doesn't bother me. So I'll give you a tiny bit of background to Substack, just so you have got a little bit of insight. So it was started in 2017 as a platform for writers. Over the last couple of years, they've shifted into saying that they are a new engine for culture. And what they mean by that is anybody who wants to write content, create, share photography, share art, reach their audience. So it's a bit of a hybrid between an email platform, a blogging platform. It's like the old school days of blogging, if anyone was around for that. And it's got a social media element as well. The beautiful thing about Substack is that you reach the people you want to reach with your work. So unlike Instagram, and I'm not going to slam Instagram because Instagram's been amazing, but lots of us are frustrated by the algorithm. We can be playful with it, but then we can also get frustrated if we do want to share something and only a small percentage of our audience is seeing that either on stories or on our grid. On Substack, people sign up with that email address, so you can email them directly into that email inbox, or they can opt to just read your work in the Substack app or on the Substack website. They choose that, but essentially you have all of the email addresses to take with you onto other platforms. So you're not creating on a platform that you then don't own the data on. You own all of the email addresses, and all of those relationships that you build, you can then take those email addresses off somewhere else. I love Substack. Obviously, I love teaching people how to use Substack. I'm very passionate about it being a platform for self-expression, for creativity, a platform to make money. If people want to make money, there are all sorts of approaches with it. I love to read other people's work. I love to engage in communities. I just spend most of my online time there these days. So it's really great. And if you do have questions about anything Substack related more generally, we've got some time at the end. So there will be time for questions at the end. And I'd really love to hear more from you as well about like where you are and what you're thinking. So this is going to be part masterclass, part workshop, because I think it's great. And my style is very much like this as well, a co-created style. I think it's great to get you guys thinking about if you want to transfer what you're doing over on Instagram into Substack, or if you're at least curious about it. Sometimes we end up pouring part of ourselves. It's part personal, it's part business. Sometimes it's all personal, sometimes it's all business into Instagram. And then it becomes this kind of hybrid place of, do we share a little bit of behind the scenes? Do we share a lot? How does it all work? So what I thought I'd get us to do to start with is just list out the topics that you talk about on Instagram. So I've got a sheet of paper here and I've split it in two. I'm a very wonky gingerbread person. We'll come to that next. And then I've just literally dumped the topics of things that I talk about or used to talk about on Instagram on here. And I've done a little bit of a grouping around topics that feel like they are relatively similar. So for example, Northumberland life, family life, the garden, motherhood, they're all like one little grouping. So I use the same color pen to kind of write those down, and check your Instagrams and see what's kind of featuring in your feed for this. And then the other topic cloud, if you like, is I've got creativity, business, and entrepreneurial stuff. So anything that talks about that type of thing. And then I've got Substack within that, but I've made it its sort of own separate topic because it's just become so big in my life. There's also a through line with all of my work, which is well-being. So I've just made a note of that, just put that at the top and just sort of draw myself some arrows to remind myself. Now, obviously, I know this stuff about what I create really, really well, but I haven't always known that. I think I was just called to write, to share, to create, you know, whether that was a photo with a nice caption, something I was thinking about, something I'd been reading, whatever it was. And that evolved into me understanding, okay, these are topics that I talk about a lot, and then evolving that again into these are content pillars or content buckets. These are the things that all the topics fit within. So I'll give you a couple of minutes now, and I'm going to do the same exercise for someone who's volunteered their Instagram for me to look at. And you're going to just go through your Instagram and you're going to just write like a name of whatever topic it is that you're talking about on there. So maybe it's a photo of you and your dog. So you would write the dog. Maybe it's a photo of you in a park. Well, I like to talk about the park. So literally just a visual scan of what's on there. And if you want to go more into the captions and see if you can find anything that is definitely a topic that comes through a lot, feel free to do that. I'll put that in the chat because we've just had somebody joining in, and I'll just give you a few minutes to go through that in your notebooks. Okay, so topics I like to talk about on my Instagram feed and stories.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat. And like I said, I'm going to pop over and do this for somebody who has volunteered now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Topics I like to talk about on my Instagram feed and stories.
Okay, feel free to keep scribbling if things are coming to you, keep scanning, go quite far down, see if you have lost something in the last little while. I know sometimes just the way that the Instagram algorithm dances with us, we can lose a little bit of our essence. We can lose what we've kind of started to do there. We can lose a little bit of who we are. So feel free to go really far back if you've got time and if you want to. And I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see whose Instagram that I was using as an example and pull some things from this before we do the next little exercise. Okay. I just have to close that. Wanted to share my desktop somehow. Just open Google and then we'll be cooking on gas. Here we go. Right, grand. Okay. So I've just done this really, really quickly. And this was just a kind volunteer called Sarah Stars. Hi, if you're here, Sarah. So Sarah has this really bright, vibrant Instagram where I'm like, wow, like, look at all of this. There's so much to dive into. And I just spent a few minutes kind of scanning through and kind of work out from the grid what Sarah is about. So I've got this at the top here, which is a little bit of information. Obviously, we don't get much here, but we get a little snapshot into Sarah. So I've written some of these words down, and then I've scanned further down, and I also wrote some of the words in the highlights, and I was like, okay, so there's ferments there. That's interesting. Does that fit with any of this stuff? I'm not sure yet. And then just scrolled a little ways down. I can see books feature a little bit. So I've written books down, obviously lots about the cycle. There's a little bit of nourishment chat in there as well. So that felt really lovely and very welcoming in terms of a topic. And then there's some veganism and vegetarian stuff as well. So I've just got my list of words for Sarah there, and I've done them all in red for now. And obviously I don't know Sarah's business as well as they'll know it themselves, but this is what I'm going to do next. So I've got a different colored pen, and I'm going to try and group some of the topics into buckets. So I'm going to try and just do 2 for this exercise, because I think that if we're trying to be strict with ourselves and go for 2 groupings, then we can always add another one in. If there really is something else that isn't fitting within the 2 groupings, then we can talk about it a little, or we could add a different one in. So if you do that for yourself and see what pops up for you in terms of the groupings, and then if you share some of those in chat, that would be really lovely. And we're going to go into the overarching themes after that, the content buckets or content pillars. I'll put that in the chat. Okay, I'm just aware of time, so I will dive into this, but carry on. You're all right, we've got time, and you can always revisit this in the replay as well. This is a never evolving thing. Like I said, you know, I was definitely in a place where I was finding my voice using Instagram a few years back, and now it just feels very clear what I want to write about. And that might shift and change, and there might be projects that come into that don't fit. But for the purposes of this, and for the purposes of just the ease of decision making, this is what we're going to do. So for Sarah, what I ended up figuring out is that books and kids' books could sit together, maybe under a title called books, because, you know, bookish content, that's good, that works. Vegetarianism, nourishment, and ferments could sit together. And Sarah might be thinking, oh no, because I've got like ferments as part of my business or whatever, but I don't know, just looking at this is what I grouped together. And then I've got client work, cycles, and the Bloom program that she talks about as well. So I've got those 3. It did end up being 3. One of the questions that I had as I was doing that piece of work was, is some of this more on the personal side? So sharing more of ourselves so that then you become more approachable as a business owner. And obviously only Sarah would know that. But for me, it definitely felt like 3 different headings, 3 different kind of overarching topics within those list of topics that I first made. So how did you guys get on? Let's have a little look. Gorgeous. Right. Okay. Let me read Sophie's out here. So Sophie has group 1, personal stories, just being Sophie, not mum wife. Postnatal depression, being highly sensitive person. Group 2, lifestyle, slowing down, finding calm, nature and motherhood. Group 3, business, how I'm growing it, what I'm doing. So behind the scenes of a business. Brilliant. So within that, I wonder whether group 1 and 2 are the same thing, whether that's one heading with all of that in. Mine for like I haven't written everything on here, but mine for my own business, like there's definitely one that has more topics in it than some of the others. So maybe that's one. I think the business side of things as well, I know Sophie's work, and I don't think any of those other topics in those two groups are what you offer for business. So I think you're right to have that third one, or maybe that second one. But I think everything else is self-expression, and also a little bit of behind the scenes to help people feel like, oh, I know who Sophie is, I trust her, I want to work with her. Sophie's a brilliant VA, by the way. She's my VA and she's amazing. So yeah. So Claire says group 1, nourishment, well-being, self-development, books, midlife coaching. That's quite a lot in group 1, Claire. So I wonder, oh no, here we go. Group 2, witchy spiritual magic flowers. Love it. Yeah, group 1's quite busy. That's okay though. I wonder whether the overarching heading is well-being or whether it's midlife. If you had to put a heading at the top of all of those topics, which one it would be? Izzy says I could merge mine into 1, making art and teaching art, and 2, the struggle to make art with ADHD. Yeah, so within that, there's that making part and then there's the teaching part. And I wonder whether making is one heading and teaching is another. So rather than it being the struggle to make, it's just making, and then everything under making goes there, and then everything under teaching goes here. So yeah, these are great, guys. I'm excited. So Sue says creative life, art, making, studio exhibitions, plein air painting, books, writing, and then group 2 keeps jumping, sorry. Inspiration, seasons, impermanence, love of nature, and possibly the third, personal and mindset. Yeah. So seasons definitely feels like an overarching header because there's a love of nature there as well. So maybe, you know, a header called seasonal, and then see what fits under there. And the other stuff, yeah, definitely making, art making, all that studio stuff, books and writing. Yeah, that could fit under there. And then personal mindset, sometimes that is creative life. You know, our mindset fits with that because it's like we decided to have a creative life. There's loads to say under that. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a third. It could just be in that first one, I think. Okay, one more. Judy says healing, wisdom, life stories, spirituality. Number 2, noticing beauty, nature, flowers, sunset, light. Beautiful. So that feels like healing, or I mean, it might be something more poetic than healing, but healing could be an overarching topic, and then topics within that: wisdom, life, story, spirituality, and then noticing could also be like an overarching topic potentially, or the art of noticing or something. We can give more words to these as we kind of figure them out, but that's good. Great. Okay, so for the next part, I'm going to come over to our little gingerbread person. So you can draw yourself one of these. And this is going to be all about our reader. So obviously on Instagram, we would call them followers, but on Substack, they are our readers. They read our work, they engage, they're community members a lot of the time. So depending on how you set your Substack up, whether you set it up newsletter style, blog style, whether you want to host community there, whether you're going to set it up with paywalls or not, you need to think about the person that is coming to the page. So the person that's opening the app, the person that is excited to get your information, that is excited to get your emails. And what we want to know is on the inside, their emotional sort of motivations, like what motivates them in life, what do they love, what do they feel excited by, inspired by. And then on the outside, we're going to do that inspiration. So more like, okay, like where would they go on holiday? Where would be a lovely place for them to go on holiday? What do they like to spend their Sundays doing? So inside is all about feelings, and we remember that because we can just go, okay, yeah, feelings. And then around the outside is like influences and inspiration and things that they like. So more kind of tangible. Okay, like I like a white house because I can see one from my window. So let me put that in the chat for you and we'll have a little go at that. So a gingerbread person inside, oh, well, gingerbread person reader, inside, feelings, emotions, and then outside, inspired by, motivated by. So in marketing school, which I've definitely attended a fair few times, people would say things like, well, where do they like to shop? And I always used to think that's so confusing. I'd be like, well, sometimes I go to Lidl, sometimes I go to Sainsbury's, sometimes I go to M&S. Like what? Like, I don't understand how this is supposed to help me connect to who my reader is. So for me, the question around inspiration and motivation just feels like we can just be more whimsical. We can just be more abstract. Like we don't need to get into the nitty gritty of what car they drive, how much they earn, where they do the shopping. This is just like what makes them tick. So I find it really helpful. My clients really love it. So let's give it a go. Okay, so I've written a few things down there for Sarah's ideal reader, just again from scanning what I saw on Instagram. And I feel like the person is a little bit stressed, a little bit short on time. They need rest. So that's what I felt about the inside of the person. On the outside, I put love spa days, but doesn't make time to book them. Rest as pleasure is an exciting concept. That's words that Sarah actually uses over on Instagram. Curious about self-development, likes sitting down to learn. So a big chunky sort of text or a big course or a masterclass would be something that this person would be interested in. Now, I've just obviously made all of this up based on what I'm kind of understanding from Sarah's content on Instagram. And then I'm going to head into Substack and just give you a little bit of an insight into how we might translate Sarah's Instagram to a Substack publication. Now, for Sarah, because she's obviously an educator, there's an opportunity there to paywall some content, and that wouldn't always be the case. So I'll show you another few examples of people who said that it was okay to volunteer for this class, and I'll show you what they've done with Substack, and you can see the self-expression there, and then we'll go into Sarah's and I'll give probably a couple of different examples of how that could be set up. Right, okay, let's go again over here. And feel free to chat in the chat and let each other know how that's all been feeling. Okay, so When we go into Substack, this might be all very new to you, but so don't worry. One of the big things that people are saying about arriving on Substack at the moment is they feel very overwhelmed. And so we just need to take it step by step. Like the only way to make it work for you is to go, okay, this week, these are my 2 top tasks that I'm going to do on Substack. Once it's all set up, it's really, really easy. The setup just takes a bit of time, and there's a lot of thinking goes into the best way to set things up, but then you can always change that. So I want to just give you a big permission slip to enjoy the process if you are thinking about heading over there. So a couple of examples of people that have Instagram accounts. This is Karini. So she has The Girl with Antlers on Substack. And this one to me feels like a really beautiful magazine of her life. She's a photographer. She plays around with costume. We can see all of that on her Instagram, and that's in our Substack as well. And then she's got various different topics along the top that we could click into. So it feels like we could arrive here of a Sunday afternoon, make a nice cup of Earl Grey, and sit and just have a lovely time reading this magazine of Karini's content. Over on Instagram, the images that she shares are quite striking. So there might be like a carousel of lots of different images from a photography shoot that she's done. And that's all available as well for people to look at. But here on Substack, we get more of the behind the scenes and some personal essays and some other topics and stuff. So I'll put that in the chat so that you can open it up for yourself as well to have a little look. For those of you that haven't come across our work, I think it's stunning. And then I have Charlie. So Charlie runs Intentional Creative. So Charlie has a business, a mentoring business. So this is set up as a little bit of a bolt onto that business. So it's like a little bit of extra behind the scenes, a little bit that kind of lays out more about what she does. And she writes really beautiful essays as well. So this one, we can see there she is at her laptop. That looks like either a writer or a person doing business. Like we get that from the middle, from that photograph. And then we've got lots of other articles and essays as we scroll down. Charlie does these really beautiful thumbnails where we're kind of invited in, and they're quite Instagram-esque. So it makes us curious to click on them. So there are lots of those that we could click on. And a lot of Charlie's work is very seasonal. So there's a beautiful color palette that she's worked into our Substack as well. So again, like a magazine, but slightly different feel to it than Karini's, and that's why I picked those 2. So you could see kind of the opposites there, just the way that they're kind of set up. And then we've got Nadia as well. So Nadia has a really lovely Instagram. Again, I'm going to share both the Substacks in the chat, and then I'll get around to the Instagrams as well for you so you can have a little look. And here there are some really interesting articles for us to look through on the most popular, but also as we scroll down, you'll see, which you wouldn't have seen on Karini's or on Charlie's, that we've got these words here. So this is a grouping. So we've got poetry, and then we can see all. And then we've got kindred notes, and we can see all. So this is language that Nadia's obviously chosen to use on her Substack, a collection of poems, a collection of kindred notes. And obviously we could learn more about what kindred notes are. That's kind of quite inviting to us. And then we've got slow and seasonal here as well. And postcards. So another one. So it's really a way to organize our content on Substack and to give it more space. And as we were kind of doing a little bit of this journaling work and trying to kind of get into understanding what are our topics, what are our groups, what are our headings, how does it all fit? It's a really lovely thing to kind of ask ourselves at the setup point of Substack. Is it something that we want to do, to kind of have these groupings of places to click? So do we want to ask someone to click into Kindred Notes? Is that something that we want to link to? You would get a URL like this if you set up a tag on Substack. So it can be a really nice way to kind of separate out, this is the personal stuff that I want to write about, this is the professional stuff. And I do want to say that to you over on Substack, because it started as a platform for writers, there's this really lovely spilling out of and a blend of this personal and professional. So we're very used to it. So very different to if you were to arrive on LinkedIn of a Monday morning and everybody's celebrating their achievements and kind of networking with colleagues. This is a place, yes, for colleagues, yes, for community, but it's also a place to share more of who we are in the world. And to do that, we need to be comfortable with what feels good to us. So it's not going to be the same for everyone. We're going to have to do a temperature check my temperature check is always like, if I put my head on the pillow and I feel balanced about what I've scheduled for the week ahead, then I'm all good. But there was definitely a dance there in the beginning of like, do I want to share this? Do I want to talk about this? Like, how does this feel? And a lot of my coaching work with clients is around that. So definitely getting that balance of the personal and professional is very warmly received on Substack, is what I'm trying to say. So I set up a little blank Substack for you all today, so you could see what a Substack looks like. So I literally set it up this morning, called it Team Sparkle. So it's not anything, it's just a demo site for you, because I didn't want to confuse you by spending too much time on my Substacks that have been running for 2 years, because there's just so much there now. So this was what happens when you set up a Substack from the off. So you just get this white background, and then this one, obviously there's nothing on there apart from one post. So we've only got an archive and an about page, and you can actually toggle those two off the navigation bar if you want. I don't advise it, because the amount of times where I'm trying to find something and someone's turned the archive off and then you can't find it anymore because of the way they've grouped their Substack up. So I think to have a chronological archive is still really smart in your navigation bar, and your about page as well. I think always leave that up, because people are stumbling across one article, but they want to know more about who you are in the world. So again, with our journaling that we've done, a little bit on the ideal reader, or the reader that we think would come to our work. Maybe we know some of them, you know, maybe we've chatted with them on Instagram, and more about the topics. That's what we put in our about page. And I've got a free article all about how to construct an about page and what to put in an about page, so that it's a really strong piece of writing and that it attracts subscribers in. So I'll send that in follow up for you guys. But basically you can go into here and edit. So if I was doing this for Sarah, I might say something like, let's have a look. So I might just say something like that, something really inviting, like time to nourish. Obviously, I'll get rid of this because this is just Substack stuff, and I'll get rid of the subscribe for now because I can decide where to put it. So lots of people over the years have kind of just left this and thought, oh, I'll get round to it. But I do think it's really good to just set out your stall and know what it is that you're doing here. You can always edit it and change it. But if you know, okay, what I'm going to be writing about or what I'm going to be sharing are these two things, or I'm going to publish on Mondays, or I'm going to publish once a month. So you want to be giving people some sort of insight into what your publication is going to be, even now with nothing on it, and then how often you think that you might publish. People just like that. They just like to know the cadence. So we would do a little bit more writing about some of the things that I've figured out about Sarah's Instagram and about our business through the work that I've done there. And then we would put in an image. So over on Sarah's Instagram, what would be really nice for Substack is this one. So less of the LinkedIn look, which is probably more this one at the top, like, you know, obviously professional with a colored background, pops for Instagram, looks great, could also work on LinkedIn. Substack is more this sort of one. So it wants to be friendly, inviting, interesting. You know, people want a bit of interest, like who is this person? They don't want professional pictures. So it'll be better to have you at the beach, or you in the woods, or you somewhere outdoors, than it would like you at your desk. It's fine to have you at your desk. Maybe just put a plant there. No, I'm joking. It's just trying to get that sort of blend of like, this is someone that I could feel invited to get to know through their writing, through their Substack, rather than a big bold profile picture. So say we put that one in, what we would also do is maybe put a little bit of a testimonial in. So some kind words, can be from our work, obviously off platform. It can be from somebody who's left a recommendation for our Substack, which you can learn more about over on Sparkle on Substack, but some sort of kind words that kind of is that social proof of this person is somebody that I want to get to know, somebody's work that I want to read. So quite a long about page, you know, spend some time on it, bullet point it, put in some other images if you want to, have fun with it. You know, it's not about you in the world, it's more about your reader. Like, this is what you're going to find here. This is why I set it up for you. You know, you're always writing to your reader. It's not your online CV. Inspirational quotes are good. You know, if you've written books or anything like that that you want to share, if you've got something that you want to sell, totally fine. You know, if you've got a free workshop, link to it, all of that stuff's gorgeous and fine. So when we go back, we'll just get rid of that and go back. And we go back to the Substack homepage. Like obviously I said, this is just white at the moment and that's fine. And there's a live course coming that is all about setting your Substack up as a beautiful magazine. So we would cover all the color palette stuff, the decisions about layout, what we put there. So all of that stuff in more depth. But for now, we've arrived and it's white and that's fine. What we are going to do a little bit more work on is a little bit of behind the scenes of trying to get all our ducks in a row based on what we wrote. So once this is set up, you get to go into your dashboard, into Team Sparkle. Here we are. And I'm going to go into posts here. And the one that I published this morning obviously is just there. And then I've got 4 drafts here. So these are my little volunteers, which was so kind of them. So I just popped all of that in there so we could kind of just switch between the two. And I've just screenshotted their Instagram so that we've got something to work within. So say if it was Karini and we're like, okay, like we're going to do a post. What is this post going to be? Now, she already has a Substack publication. So all I've done is popped the URL in there. So if you were to copy and paste somebody else's or your Substack URL in a post, it's going to pull through like that. Probably upset because I've done it twice now, but I'll come through in a minute. And then you could, this is your author profile, so I would always recommend leaving that on. And then say it was new photo shoot, sneak peeks. There we go. And then so we would say, hi everyone, or however you would like to address everyone. I have something to share. And then it could link out of the site or the photos could be put into the site. If the photos are going to put in, we would just use this little photo button here and we would just add an image. Let me see what I can add for you guys. Okay, I'm just going to add this one. So obviously it could be like a Canva image or it could be a photograph. That's totally fine. This will come up in a minute. Just a little bit slow, sorry. And then once we've got that in there, we can adjust the size of it by just dragging those little buttons there. So we might decide, oh, actually, I'll put that before my words. So I'll just move that up. It's just being awkward now, but you can drag that about. So you've got it. Just put that at the top. And then what we can also do is add in some quotation marks. So this has been set up in a yellow color. Substack used to set publications up with an orange accent color, but they've gone yellow. So we're just going with that. But again, we can change that in settings. So this is a lovely quote. There we go. And then if we wanted to do a quote where it was in the middle of the page, this is another lovely quote. Now, if somebody isn't already subscribed to this publication, they're going to see this potentially shared by Substack because Substack do push our work out and they do push our work out quite a lot, and especially through the recommendations tool. So other people might be coming across this. So what is really good practice to do is to reintroduce ourselves. Now we might do that at the top or we might do that at the bottom of the post, but say we were doing it at the bottom of the post. Thanks for being here. You can read more of my articles and find me over on Instagram. You could say that, you know, as you're building it up to build like connection with your readers. You would also say a little bit more about who you are. And again, I'll send you another article about this. So I call it a boilerplate. So just something that you can copy and paste each time that reintroduces yourself. And then say there were some photos shared, some lovely quotes, a little bit of behind the scenes, we're just going to imagine for now. And then we've got that sign up, subscribe there. So someone would put their email address in and sign up to Karini's Substack. We could also invite people to do other things. So we could use this button and then edit the text here. if we wanted to. So grab the latest art here. You can write anything you want there and use that subscribe button. You could also just use the plain subscribe button, or you can do a custom button. So join my online course for photographers, say. And then whatever that URL was there, and then you would just press OK. It'll probably not, doesn't like it's too long. Join my online course. And then I'll just paste whatever was in there. There we go. There, so that's put that in, and obviously the text, there'll be a character limit there, which is why I went over it, but you can do that as well. And again, if you decided that layout's not quite right, you would just move them up. So drag and drop to move them up. Usually, it's good practice to just ask people to be doing one thing. But on Substack, because there is a paywall, because people run memberships, because people are sending people off platform as well, back to their Instagram or onto an online course, you can get away with doing more. What you don't want to do is just have it too cluttered. So I've put everything in there, but I definitely wouldn't write like that. I would write big paragraphs and then break it up with maybe a page break or a subscribe button, and then another big paragraph, and then finally add a subscribe button at the bottom. This is just a screenshot of Karini's Instagram, but if you did want to add in an Instagram post, let's do it with Sarah's because I've got Sarah's open. So what you would do is you would just copy the link. This can sometimes just be helpful as you're organizing your post as well, just to kind of remind yourself what you want to talk about. So that'll pull through in a minute, I think. There we go. So that's just pulled through that Instagram post. It just embeds it there. So you don't get the text or anything, but you do get that link back out to Instagram. So that's there. And it also works the same for Reels, but you can't click on them. You can put YouTube links in if you've got a YouTube account or any videos you want to share of your practice or anything else that's going on. You can do that there. So say if we were like, okay, that post is finished, that's brilliant, I'm going to publish it, I'm going to send it out, I'm going to publish it, and it's going to end up on the Substack page, the Substack publication, my Substack magazine. We would decide whether it was for everyone or for paid, if we had paid switched on, which we haven't with this one. And then this is where we're going to add our tags. So for the purposes of this, we're going to say, I think we'll just call it, because it's a blend, it's ended up being a blend of two people's Instagrams now. So we're just going to call it nourishment, and then that's going to go in. We could also say books as another one, and photography as another one. There we go. And then this is the social preview. So it gives us the option to change photos here. So we could say, okay, I prefer that one, or we could upload another one if we wanted to, but we'll leave that there. And then we've got the option to send via email and the Substack app. So obviously if I had subscribers on here, they would receive that in their email, but we're going to uncheck that for the purposes of this. And then we're going to schedule a time to publish just there. So you can schedule anything you like, anytime, worldwide. When things started to get really busy for me on Substack, I had a mainly American audience. So I would schedule a post at the time where the Americans were waking up, and then people in the UK and Europe would kind of get it when they woke up, obviously a few hours later. So that was working really, really well for me in terms of a cadence. So that can work for us and in our favor to do that little bit of scheduling and figure out where our readers are coming from, which Substack also shows us on a lovely interactive map. So we could do that. So obviously today is the 16th. We'll just publish it. Actually, we'll take off the schedule and we'll just publish it so you guys can see. Let me move my toolbar. So that's everything. It's going to everyone. We're going to allow comments or disable them. We've put our tags on. Now that's a lot of tags, but bear with me. I'll show you why I've done that. And then we'll just publish it so you can see it appear on the feed. There we go. And so it's confused to put that big Instagram thing on. But anyway, we'll come off that for now. oh, look, we can recommend Karina. We'll not do that because this is a test publication, but ordinarily I would say definitely recommend anybody that you're linking to. So it's come now and arrived in the center of our Substack right there. So we've got it there. Now, if I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's all right, but I don't want it there, what I might decide to do is pin this first one. So I'm going to pin that one and it's going to swap them round. So if you write your first post on Substack and it is the essence of who you are in the world, what you're going to share on Substack, what you do in here, in a very similar way to your about page, but you want it kind of front and center and you want a photo of you there front and center, then you can pin it. So again, it was just the 3 buttons there, and then you can pin or unpin a post that way, and it just keeps it front and center. Then obviously there's not much content here, but it gives you an idea. So you've got that there. I'll head over back to one of the other publications now, and then we'll do one more exercise and we'll leave some time for questions as well before we finish. But this part here, Team Sparkle, you'll have noticed that here on Girl with the Antlers, this is actually an image that Karina will have designed in Canva or another platform where you can design images and branding, and uploaded it. And Charlie has done the same. And then, yeah, I think I'm just double checking, but yeah, Nadia's done the same as well. So it lifts it, it gives it something, an extra feel, doesn't it? If we head over to Sparkle, this is mine. So Sparkle on Substack, obviously it's there, my logo's there, it's all branded up. It's a very kind of professional but fun feeling space. So again, with that kind of essence of what you want to lift from your Instagram and what you want to lift to kind of start this big new exciting project, you can decide. And you can also decide later, you know, you don't have to do that now. You can leave it as is. If I had put a logo in, it would go there, but see at the minute, there's nothing. So when you leave it as completely plain, Substack just put their little logo in there. But let's just pop in and show you what you would do. So in settings, this is where it goes on forever, but I have recorded a video of all of these different elements that's in my membership that you're very welcome to join and grab. So this is how we do our description, our short description. And then when we come down to logo, we could try and generate a logo and this AI. So, you know, say what you want about that, but I don't know that it'd be very good. So I definitely won't be doing that. So if I just put one in just so I can show you what it looks like, I'll put my co-working one in, look, because it'll probably be the right size, she says. And then we can see, has it done it? No, it doesn't like it. Doesn't want to do that one. Let me try a different one. Let's see if there's one in here. I think it needs to be that specific size. Right, let's just put Sparkle in. It is a bigger size as well. Okay, we'll have to do it in Canva, but basically it's giving you the size there, 256 by 256. So if you're in Canva and you want to upload your logo, then you just need to start a blank document in Canva and do it 256 by 256, because it definitely isn't letting us shrink that down. Sometimes it does, but other times it doesn't. If you wanted to put a photo of yourself there, you could as well. So I'll show you over on my other publication, the first one I had. Instead of a logo, I have a photo of myself there. And partly the reason that I have that is to differentiate between Sparkle, because I've got the 2 publications. So I want people to be clear which one they're receiving and which one they're reading. So that's one of the ways that's really helped with that. But obviously over on Sparkle, I have the logo. So you can make yourself a logo, you can put a flower there, you can put an image you like, anything you want, or you can just leave it as the Substack logo for now and then change it further down the line. Okay, great. So before we finish, obviously I'm going to leave time for questions, but before we finish, let's just draw out. I wonder if I get back to the blank one, that's going to be more helpful for you, I think. Yeah. So we're going to just draw out what we think we would like to put on our Substack publication. So what might it be called at the top? Just an idea, you know, you can change this later. And what would the top 3 first posts be? What would you like to post about? So have you got something that did well on Instagram? You've got a topic that you talk about regularly that you would like to kind of bring over and give more body to it, more length, share more images? Have you got something that you haven't shared on your Instagram that you feel like, okay, well, this could be the place, and then you ask your Instagram people to subscribe? Could that work? Have you got something that is a little bit more of something special that's happened in your life? So we're about to get a new puppy, for example. So I'll be like, I'm going to put the puppy on. I'm going to tell people about the puppy. I'm going to say, you know, how we are really responsible dog owners. And there's a beautiful reason why we've ended up going to be puppy owners. And it's lovely. And I do want to talk about it because people are like, get a rescue dog. Yeah, we would, but this is what's happened. Anyway, so it could be about my puppy. It could be anything. And just do 1, 2, 3, 3 posts, the title, maybe make a note about the logo if there's anything come to you. I'm sorry I couldn't show you it pop up, but you get the idea, and we'll see where we get to. I'll put that in the chat for you now. Okay, that's in the chat for you now. I'll give you a few minutes on that. Okay, so obviously within an hour-long class, everything is massively simplified and it's not a simple process. It's complicated. There are feelings and emotions come up. There's indecision, there's blocks, there's creative flow, and then there's questioning ourselves and second guessing ourselves. There's feelings of I'm just going to delete it all and tear it all down. There's all of that stuff. And that's why if you come over to Sparkle on Substack, the membership, I can hold you in all of that. So we meet twice a month. We have weekly chat thread as well. So if anyone's got any questions or if they're blocked with anything, that's all there. And then I've also got this live course coming, which is called your beautiful Substack magazine, which is about making it all beautiful. And it just walks you through all of the steps. And we meet live once a week as well, Sunday tea times again, 5 o'clock. So Sarah's Substack has ended up being a blend of, I think, Sarah and Charlie's, to be honest. But this is what we've done for our kind of practice Substack. We've called it Nourish and Bloom at the top, just because that felt quite nice. And so we've gone with Nourish and Bloom. We're definitely going to bring the red in with the logo and the red in with some of the branding. We've made that decision. Very strong on Instagram. It's working well. It's brand cohesion across the 2 platforms. We don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It works on Instagram. We're going to bring it all to Substack. We're going to talk about cycles in a post. We're going to talk about vegetarianism in another post. And we're going to talk about freelance life, self-employed life, or owning a business, whichever one's most relevant. So we've got a little bit of the blend of the professional, what we offer for work. We've got the vegetarianism, which is probably more personal. And there's something to say about all of that. And then there's the freelance life. And within those posts, we would write them first and then try and figure out what the heading of the post was. So people do a lot of work around strong journalistic headlines. Clickbait is definitely old and gone and dead, but there's a lot of journalists on the platform that do use slightly clickbaity headlines. Definitely not like Medium, but there is that like, oh, I want to click on that. And so it's really up to you what you want to do with your headline. But what I would say is we've got the opportunity to really explore what it is that we want to invite in. So if we want readers to like hang around, get to know us, write in the comments, then we probably wouldn't put like a clickbaity headline that would get people to just read to the good bit and then disappear. We want to nurture a relationship. So that's just a bit of a kind of little bit of a content warning, like in terms of how you're setting up the energy. Like you want to say, pour yourself a cup of tea. If you want to invite people to be slower, to be seasonal, any of that good stuff. If you want just people to like race in and read it and then disappear, that's what they'll do. So we've like really got to think about that energetic invitation to the people that we are chatting with online. I've answered some of your questions in the chat. There's definitely a few around how we're organizing our homepage. So I've got a post on this. I've got a whole sort of series of set up your Substack homepage in 30 days, which is all there for you on Sparkle. So you can have a look at that. But basically there's 2 options. One is called sections and one is called tags. I've shown you the tags. So you've got that. And the reason I've shown you the tags and not the sections is, to be honest, sections would just confuse everything. For now, it would be an extra layer that you probably don't need. And so although I'm happy to answer questions on it, I do think when you're first starting out, tags are just a much better use of the Substack ecosystem. We get so much out of using tags. We get the URL, we can group things, we can have the headings, we can design it all up that way. So okay, I'll get to some more questions. If anybody wants to unmute and talk, that is totally fine. But obviously I'm still recording, so I'm really happy to just read them out from the chat. So Izzy is saying, please, can you explain about groups and tags and sections? That's what I really need to learn. Yeah, for sure. So tags and sections, the main difference is with a section, people can unsubscribe themselves from that section if they want to. And when you set it up, you get to choose whether you subscribe everyone or no one. Tags, you just tag the article, and then obviously the more tags you do within that topic, then the longer the list of topics get, the longer that list of archive articles gets within that tag. And that can be really, really helpful when we're trying to help people navigate through our content. When we set up our homepage and we're asked about groups, groups are either a section or a tag. So when I shared Nadja's publication, and when you look at Sparkle, it's either that I've done a group is my section or a group is my tag. So that's all in there, and you just choose. You can choose, okay, I'm going to have the group called, so for Creatively Conscious, it's Wholehearted Living. So that group is Wholehearted Living, and the tags that are part of that is all of these articles that, and you just put that URL in and it just organizes it all for you. It's very lovely when it happens. Okay. And then, yeah, there are now 3 different types of layout on Substack. So they'll say feature, magazine, or newspaper, I think, when you go in to kind of design it all. But again, we go through all this in the course. So if you do want to come on the course and I'll teach you all, then we can. Titles, do we need to be SEO, or how does Substack manage SEO? So SEO is about us managing it in our wider ecosystem. So I do have a masterclass with someone who is an SEO expert in the membership called Erica, who runs an agency. So I definitely am not, but she said I was doing really well with my SEO. So that's good, isn't it? I think we've moved away from Google doing the thing where it's like, scanning all of the articles and being like, okay, I'm going to present this one. We don't need to keyword stuff anymore. We can write more in a more human way and feel self-assured about that. But sure, if we want someone to find something really specific, like my friend's a baking blogger and her top hit was this Jamaican black cake recipe that she made, and she was always finding it really bizarre, but it was like she was one of the only bloggers that had written that recipe down. So of course, if there's something that you're thinking about that people might be searching and you want to weave that in, but watch the masterclass because it's brilliant. Okay, great. Well, Sue says, what if we're already set up on Substack? So you're going to organize some tags and stuff like that. It doesn't separate it out. I think you have to go back and re-tag, Sue. So, you have to go and edit a post and then tag again. I think that's what you mean. Or you mean on the homepage, that's because you need to do your groups. That's why. If you do your groups in site design, I think it's in site design or branding, one of those two. So Claire's asking, is the course included in paid membership or freestanding? So it's a separate standalone course because it's quite intense and live. So it's a 3-week course and we meet every Sunday at Friday tea time. And there are content drops every Monday. So instead of you being completely lost in Substack land, it's very specific about how to set up a Substack that looks like a magazine, all the aesthetic stuff, all of the branding stuff, all of the stuff around more of what we've done today. So more of like really drilling into what are the topics, and then into more of the stuff of what is going to grow your Substack within that. So it's all very nice having a lovely Substack setup, isn't it? But part of what I teach is about how to grow joyfully and sustainably, and that runs through all of my work. So it's really about setting it up for success. I just had a client go viral with their first note. So they were just getting set up. And because of the strategy that we came up with together, she has 3,000 subscribers straight away within our first week. So the course is really about that, about if you're going to be setting up for the first time, let's get it right. If you're already on there, then obviously you've got access to the stuff that I teach on Joyful Growth, and you've got the Ask Me Anything Monday chat. So you can ask me anything that you want on a Monday. And if you're trying to do something specific with your Substack, I'm here for you. So no, Judy, so the magazine course is literally from scratch. So we're picking up from this masterclass and we're just going deeper with all of the stuff that we've done today and more. So we're doing all of the settings page. We're going to get like literally share screens, and I'll be on your Substack being like, okay, like this is what we're going to do here. This is what we're going to upload here. We use Canva. So we hop on over to Canva. I've got some time with Sophie as well, my VA, who's amazing in Canva, who can help with things like that lovely title, the publication title at the top, and page breaks, and just get it all looking really, really lovely. So it's something that you're really proud of, so the course itself is gentle enough where it's just about creative expression and you feeling really safe so that you feel ready to come to Substack and ready for 3,000 subscribers to arrive if that's what happens. So it's really just about bedding in, and then all the decision making is done, everything's set up, and all you've got to do is work on your weekly posts or your monthly posts or however you're going to do it. So Michelle says, I get 0 likes on my notes and I've been on Substack for 2 years. I definitely need to revamp it. Yeah, notes is a funny one. So we do a notes engagement thread twice a month on Sparkle. And what happens with that is we'll say, okay, we've just posted this note. Somebody might have posted something like the day before, and then everybody will go and just organically chat with that person. And then they get the experience of a note being interacted with. And that sounds wild, but that co-creation, it's not about more people seeing the note or what they do. It's more about that writer getting the experience of what it feels like. And then we I sort of tweak some of the way that people have written their notes. So oftentimes we're not inviting the reader in as much as we could be. So when people post those, I see those mistakes, it's not mistakes. I just see how a note could be stronger and how a reader could be invited in and how we could stop the scroll. There's definitely a scroll on notes now. So for those of you that don't know, notes is like a little bit like Twitter. It's Substack's inbuilt social media. It's available on the app. It's available on the homepage. You can curate your Substack so that you go straight to your inbox and you don't have to see the social media feed. But if you use notes, it's great for growth, or it can be. So that's why it's a good tool, and it's great that it's there, but it's only been there a year. So I knew Substack for 4 times. So a couple of people need to head off. That's all good. I know that I have missed some stuff in the chat above, but does anybody want to put new questions or like repost their questions so I'm not scrolling? We're just 10 minutes after 6, and I was going to stay another 5 minutes for questions if anybody wants to ask anything. You're super welcome. There was a really good question around what a personal essay is. It's very much Substack language, and it's super interesting to me because I feel like a personal essay would have been something that a professional writer would have come to write on Substack, and that's because it was set up as a platform for writers. But now I've reclaimed that title. I like it. I like that we can be personal in our writing, that we can write something and then build our craft over time. So it's a bit like a blog, it's a post, but the personal essay element of it, I've just sent one out today actually, is more reflective of where we are in the world right now, like what we want to write about. So it's more memoir style. But yeah, you don't have to write long or a lot of words, like you can choose. Just having a look at all of this gingerbread person stuff. This is really great, guys. It's so good. The more we do on this, the more you get to really know what's going on for your readers and followers and all of that stuff on Instagram. Great. Okay, let's see if there's other questions. So Izzy, in terms of notifications, yeah, so I don't get any email notifications anymore. I've just got smart notifications. So on the app, I've sort of trained my brain that as they're coming in, I don't like click on them. I just see the little number like going up, maybe if I'm working on a post or something. But I know people have said they write in Google Docs and then post it over. So that's an option. But yeah, in your writer profile settings, you can toggle everything off so that you don't get notified. It's all there for you to curate, and I don't get any emails about notifications. I just leave them in the website and in the app. So Julie's saying, if I want to keep a blog in addition to the Substack, does it make sense to duplicate the same posts there, or how do people keep both a blog and a Substack these days? Okay, so really, really good question. On the SEO front, it can harm SEO if there's 2 pieces of exactly the same content, one on a Substack or a website, one on a blog. So but that changes all the time. So in the SEO masterclass, we do touch on a little bit, and Erica was saying wouldn't worry about it too much. So that was her up to the moment advice. I think with a blog, the way I see it is, who's it for and what are you hoping from that? So if it's people landing from a Google search, what do you want them to do? So it's always about that subscriber flow. So do you want them to read your blog and book something with you? Do you want them to read your blog and sign up to your mailing list? Do you want them to read your blog and like book a masterclass or whatever? I don't know. But it's like, why have one? Like, what does it do for you? What does it do within your wider content ecosystem? And also with a Substack, the reason that we're there is because it's possible to grow on Substack right now. So we're still in at the ground floor. Like, yes, they were established in 2017, but what I'm seeing is like new people arriving every time, and us reclaiming what it is to creatively express ourselves there. We don't have to be perfected writers with an editor. Lots of the big hard-hitting Substackers have got professional editors. We don't need that. Like, we can share some photos and something that inspired our weekend. That's enough. So I think it's about reclaiming what you want, knowing that now is the time to start a Substack, now is the time to grow on Substack, now is the time to nurture an audience there, and then you've got that audience. If we keep putting energy into Instagram the way that we have been, yes, sometimes, something might go viral and a reel might, pop off and all that sort of thing. But I've had clients have that happen and it doesn't translate into anything where they can feel it's tangible. It's just that follower number. That's literally it. So I had a friend and a client. She's been a client in the past. She's a yoga teacher and she got 140,000 Instagram followers overnight. So I was like, how's business? I mean, our business is great anyway. She was like, well, it's not impacted that much yet. This was a few months later. We were chatting about it. And it's because obviously it takes so long to nurture those people because they're barely seeing your content. Whereas on Substack, if your open rate, is sort of 40%, 50%, which is normal-ish, and then Substack's pushing it out further within the network. So I have a post that's at 5,000 views, but my publication gets 50,000 views a month. It's just wild, you're like, wow, like it's all just gone out and Substack have pushed it out. So yeah, I think it's about energy accountability. I've gone off on some mad tangents there, Judy, sorry. Energy, how much energy you've got and what you want a piece of content to do or what you want showing up to a platform to do. Do you want connection, sign up, more clients? How do you want it to work? Sue says, is it okay to post the type of content we would post to Instagram, but a bit deeper perhaps? Is there a backlash to the feed becoming more Instagram? No, and also do what you want. Like my thing is, stay creative on Substack. And I've been teaching this for over a year. And honestly, the amount of artists and other types of people who aren't just writers, that have engaged in my work and done beautiful things and met beautiful communities, you get to choose. You can choose what you do on Substack. So there is no heavy rule book. It's not there. You are making up the rules. We are shaping the platform. We're deciding. I decided to start a publication called Sparkle on Substack and host a membership. People weren't talking about membership on the platform when I launched a membership. People were talking about paywalls and paywalled articles. And I was like, I want to run a membership there. Why not? I'll run a membership about Substack on Substack. Let's have a lovely time. And we do. So yeah, you can do what you want. Thanks, Olivia. The red dot. Auto the notifications, Olivia. I know. Yeah, so Ocean's saying about the notes engagement thread. So again, it's twice a month. We don't want to overdo it, but it's just a practice, isn't it? Just getting into chatting to the community, making nice connections and stuff. This is a really good question, Izzy. So Izzy says, I get in a real pickle because I moved my newsletter to Substack. Now I don't know if I'm writing a newsletter, a blog post, or an essay. It all turned a bit diary blog, which wasn't my intention. The idea of calling it a magazine really helps clarify my thinking about what I'm writing and why. Yeah, for sure. So with Creatively Conscious, I had a monthly email that I wrote from 2017 until earlier this year called Notes from the Sea. It came out on the 1st of the month. And so for me, it was like, I can send that out. That is my newsletter. And then everything else was posts. And then I've retired that because I was feeling too constricted by having to show up within that format. And I've got this really exciting memoir project that I'm on with. So I was like, okay, we're just going to pause it for now. I think if you're sending something weekly or if it's on the 1st of the month or, or mid-month or whatever, and it feels like a newsletter, then call it that and say like this month's whatever it is, this month's snow globe, whatever you want. And then, or it could be seasonal, so it might be seasonal updates from, and then anything else, just keep that separate. So keep those newsletters together. I've still got the Notes from the Sea tag actually. And everything else is just posts. So playing around with how that feels, because some people like the accountability of saying, yes, I send a weekly newsletter, or yes, I send a monthly newsletter. People like that, they know where they are with that. And again, it quiets the kind of decision-making overwhelm. So yeah, I hope that helps. But yeah, the magazine thing, I just think, well, we're here, aren't we? We're creating digital magazines. It's beautiful. Great. So is he saying, thinking of doing a membership, should I include it in my main Substack or should I start a separate one from the magazine, or is the magazine the membership? So over on Creatively Conscious, I'll just do one more screen share and then we'll head off. Because Creatively Conscious is a magazine in my eyes. And I host a membership here as well. So let me show you. So I'm doing quite a lot within one publication here, but this is the magazine of my business essentially. So I do the membership and workshops here within this group. And so people can see all of those and see what's coming up within the membership. So I do 4 really deep workshops a year live on Zoom. And then I've got this kind of business development series that I'm doing for 2024 as well, which is under the Self-Seed Your Business banner. So that would come up there, but I also do posts for paid members about how I self-seed my business. So how I'll throw a load of wild seeds, both literally and metaphorically, and then we'll see what grows from that, what feels good within my multi-hyphen way of working. And then I also talk about wholehearted living. So it's very magazine style. I did some guest posts there as well a little while ago, so they're still on the page. It's very magazine style, but the membership is just a button. We just head over, and then here is everything everybody needs for the membership. So for me, I'm speaking to different sets of people. There are 2,500-ish people subscribed to just read my posts. That's what they want. You know, they don't want to be sold the membership every time they read a post, so I don't do that. Then there are people who find me and want to join the membership straight away, and they might stay. I've had people in there 2 years already. There might be people that join the membership for a specific class and just stay for a month, use some of the resources, and then hop off again. All of that is part of the subscription model if we set it up. But at the same time, you know, for me, I can just send them a specific email, like this is specifically for you guys. So I'm always sending gifts, you know, all sorts of things really. But when I've got something that I really want to share with my members, I can just email them. So you can email just your paid subscribers, which I call members, and then, you know, they get that. Over on Sparkle, there's another layer to it. And let me just tell you about this before we go, because I do think that this will be really helpful if you see this and then you're like, oh, what was that again? So I have membership on Sparkle, but then I have diamond members. Substack give us 2 tiers of options. They have something called founding members, which are my diamond members, which is an annual subscription. And then they have the membership, which is paid subscribers, which I call membership. So you can have the 2 tiers if you want to. In the diamond membership, the people that are there have access to slightly different resources, and they can send me direct messages on Substack to ask about strategy. So in the membership, we chat on a Monday, but it's a big open thread and everybody chats to each other. In the diamond membership, they can ask specific stuff about their publication. Obviously, they can get really vulnerable with how they're feeling. We can work on strategy stuff. All of that sort of stuff is there for them. And then they get expert calls as well. So the way I've set it up, I've given you a lot of detail there, but the way that I've set it up made most sense for the requests that I was getting. So if you know your business and you know how that works, then you can bring that to your Substack. And if you just want to play around with paywalls and you're not quite sure about them yet, there's lots of resources here. If you scroll down, if you go to make money on Substack and have a look at these, there's loads of resources and most of those are free. So have a look at those as well if you're curious. Okay, I am going to let you guys go and have some dinner and stuff. But again, the replay will be up and I'm going to send a follow-up email. And what I'm going to send you is everything in this section. So simple Substack advice if you're keen to get going tonight. But this is where you'll find the about page post, the boilerplate post, and then that tidying up our homepage. That's where you're going to find more about the sections, the tags, the groups. Those 3, they're all free to read. Those 3, you could get set up tonight if you want to, or you can join my live course, which is starting really soon. Early birds coming out this week. But thank you all so much. It's been really lovely to meet you and hear from you. And I hope that you can connect to each other a little bit in the comments. It's the start of a really beautiful journey when you come to Substack, and I can't express enough how gorgeous it is to use the platform, how many friends that I've made, how many new clients that I've got, how many beautiful colleagues that I spend my week with now. It is really an amazing place, and I'm so excited for you to get started. I shall see you really soon. Thanks again, everyone. Bye.